So I was at my office about 8:30 Saturday night, actually getting caught up on some work, and about 8:30-ish, the phone rings, and it's my buddy Chad. It's his wife Carolyn, and she's like, "Hey, Paul, this is Carolyn. I just want you to know we're headed to the hospital. We're at the ER with Chad." I'm like, "Oh my God, is something wrong?" Because he's a little accident-prone. Stuff kind of tends to happen to him. I said, "What's the matter?" And she's like, "Well, his jaw's in the locked open position from eating a sandwich." And I had to laugh. I'm sorry. I'm like, "Carolyn, I hope he's okay, but really his jaw's locked open from eating a sandwich?" And she's like, "Yeah, Paul, it's not funny. It's pretty serious." And I started texting her, and I'm like, "Carolyn, I'm sorry. I mean, I hope he's okay, but there's a bunch of jokes in here somewhere, because once he comes out of the ER, and once he's okay, this is going to be funny." And so throughout the course of the evening, 8:30 turns into 9:30, and then 10, and then 11, and around midnight, she calls me. At this point, she's serious, and she's distraught, and she's crying. She's like, "Paul, listen, the ER docs up here at this hospital have basically given up. They can't get his jaw back into position, so they want to transport him by ambulance down to the hospital downtown, and he really wants you to be there." I'm 12:30, 12:45. I roll in the ER, and there's my buddy Chad, just laid out, pumped up full of morphine. Just pitiful sight. I'm like, "Are you okay?" "No, not okay." And the poor guy, his mouth had been locked open like that for 4, 5, 6 hours at this point. And so a couple hours later, now it's like 2 o'clock or so, and the ER doc comes in, and he's like, "Well, Chad, here's the deal. I know what I need to do to fix you. It's just a question of, can you take the pain?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I need to reach into your mouth with both fingers and pull down on your jaw as hard as I can and pop it back in." This ER doc just reaches in there, grabs his gums and grabs his teeth and cranks down on his jaw, and Chad almost slugs him. He's just like, "Good," you know. It was painful. So at the end of it, he had to go into the OR, and full anesthesiologist, the whole thing, put him under about 9 a.m. I guess, and then he was down for the count that night. I'm like, "So what's this sandwich? I mean, what's this Which Wich thing?" So he's like, "Oh, dude, it's got the double meat, and it's got the pepperoni, and it's a toast." And I'm like, "I haven't eaten since about 6, and it's starting to sound pretty good." And I'm thinking, "Wow, I got to check this sandwich out. When this ordeal's over, I have to go check out this sandwich." I'm like, "Well, did you eat them?" She's like, "No, we didn't get to eat them because it was on Chad's first bite." And I'm like, "That's a real shame. I mean, what happened to the sandwiches?" She's like, "Well, they're in my minivan." And I'm thinking, all right, good sandwich in her minivan, and she got her minivan at the hospital. So about 4 or 5 a.m. I'm like, "Buddy, listen, man, I gotta go." He was in good hands with the OR doc. He wasn't scheduled for surgery till like 8 or 9 a.m. I'm like, "Dude, I gotta get out of here. I got stuff to do." So I'm walking back to my car, and I purposefully am thinking Carolyn parked right around here somewhere, and sure enough, I saw her van. It was unlocked. I sat in the passenger seat, rifled through the sandwiches. I found the killer Which Wich, the one that laid waste to my friend. I opened it up, and I told her it had to die, and I ate it. It was a mercy killing, but tastier. It had to die. It had to. If anybody messes with my friends, my family, I either hurt it or I eat it, one or the other.